The shuttle doors hissed open to reveal a world bathed in light that breathed. Varela 9's atmosphere shimmered with color, and the capital, Sarenthal, looked alive, literally. The towers pulsed with faint veins of bioluminescent sap, and the air hummed with energy, as though the entire planet exhaled around him. Captain Elias Crane stepped onto the landing platform, the soles of his boots pressing into living moss that flexed beneath his weight. His diplomatic uniform, dark navy trimmed with silver, felt painfully artificial amid this organic wonder. He'd seen 1,000 worlds, but none that made him feel so temporary. A group of Varelian attendants approached in flowing robes woven from what looked like strands of crystallized silk. They bowed in perfect unison. From their ranks stepped Princess Lenarathal, the youngest daughter of the High Matron, and the reason Elias's heart suddenly forgot its rhythm. Her skin was pale silver, faintly translucent. Iridescent lines traced patterns across her face like living constellations, pulsing softly with her heartbeat. When she smiled, the glow brightened, spreading down her neck and arms in waves of light. "Captain Crane," she said in flawless English, her tone musical but deliberate. "Welcome to Varela 9. We have prepared the gardens to greet you." "Gardens?" he repeated, following her gesture toward an enormous archway woven from intertwined trees. "I expected a council chamber, not a greenhouse." "Here, diplomacy grows," she replied simply. As they walked, the path underfoot adjusted, forming smooth steps where he needed them. Flowers turned toward his movement. The scent was warm and electric. Everything was too perfect, alive yet choreographed. Lenara watched him with quiet amusement. "Your pulse has quickened. Are you afraid of our world?" "Not afraid," Elias said, eyes scanning the glowing canopies. "Just aware I'm the only thing here that doesn't glow." "You glow," she said softly. "But your kind hides it under cloth and caution." He looked at her, surprised by the sudden intimacy in her words. For a moment, they simply walked in silence, surrounded by the whisper of living leaves. At the heart of the garden stood a vast crystal basin filled with liquid light. Lenara extended her hand. "The first greeting. You touch the water, it reads your intentions. If they are true, the basin will bloom." "Sounds easy enough," he said, rolling up a sleeve. When his hand met the luminous surface, the water pulsed violently, then calmed into a swirl of gold and blue. Tendrils of light reached up and brushed Lenara's skin. Her markings flared brighter than before. Gasps echoed among the attendants. "What's happening?" Elias asked, instinctively withdrawing. "The basin has never reacted this way," Lenara murmured, eyes wide. "It recognizes compatibility between us." "Compatibility?" "Emotional resonance," she explained. "It means we could bond." He blinked. "We just met." "To the basin, that is irrelevant." Before he could respond, a commanding voice sliced through the air. "Princess Lenara." Elias turned. The High Matron Saravathal approached, surrounded by guards in chitinous armor. She was older, taller, her skin darker and her glow subdued, a being of power and control. "Mother," Lenara greeted, bowing slightly. The matron's gaze locked on Elias, sharp as a blade. "Human," she said. "You stand in sacred light. Do you understand what your actions imply?" He straightened. "If I've overstepped, I apologize. I followed your daughter's instruction. The basin chose to react." Lenara interjected quickly. "That may be so," Sareva replied coolly. "But its recognition carries meaning. Our laws do not take such signs lightly." Elias met her stare. "I came here for diplomacy, not superstition." Her lips curved, faintly amused. "To you, perhaps. To us, these lights are the foundations of truth." She turned to her daughter. "You will escort the human to the Hall of Harmony. There you may speak under council supervision." The exchange ended there, imperious, absolute. Hours later, as twilight painted the city in deeper blues, Lenara guided him through translucent corridors that sang softly under their steps. "You didn't offend her," she said gently. "The matron tests all outsiders. She didn't seem fond of me, Elias replied. She's not fond of anyone who stirs the basin. He smirked. Then I'm setting records. Lenara laughed quietly, a sound like wind chimes. Perhaps. They reached a balcony overlooking the ocean. Waves glowed as if the stars had fallen into them. Elias leaned on the railing, letting the alien breeze wash over him. Your world is alive in ways we can't imagine, he said. But it feels heavy. Every gesture, every word carries meaning. It must, Lenara said. Our lives are shared from birth. We sense one another's emotions. Nothing is private. Meaning keeps us from drowning in one another's thoughts. And love? He asked. Love is harmony. No one belongs to one alone. Each clutch shares affection to maintain balance. That sounds crowded. She tilted her head. Do humans not share? Not like that, he said, smiling faintly. We fall for one person. One heart at a time. Strange creatures, she murmured. So much potential for loneliness. Maybe. But it makes finding someone special mean more. Their eyes met, the air between them tense and quiet. For a heartbeat, the galaxy seemed to hold still. Then Lenara looked away. If you continue to speak like that, the basin will not be the only thing glowing. Elias chuckled softly. Diplomatic incident avoided, then. That night, a formal banquet was held inside the Hall of Harmony, a vast chamber carved into the roots of a living mountain. Thousands of light forms drifted through the air like fireflies. Music thrummed through the floor rather than the air, felt more than heard. Human envoys sat alongside Varelian counselors, exchanging polite words and careful smiles. Lenara sat beside Elias at the central table. You seem calm, he whispered. I am not, she admitted. I am about to do something no one has done in centuries. He frowned. What do you mean? She stood. The music stopped instantly. All eyes turned to her as her markings brightened into brilliant silver. In the name of the basin and the bond it has revealed, she declared, her voice echoing through the chamber. I, Lenarthal of the Sixth Clutch, claim Captain Elias Crane as chosen partner under the law of recognition. The room fell into stunned silence. Elias rose halfway, heart pounding. Lenara, wait! The High Matron's voice thundered across the hall. Then you invoke the law of sisters. Lenara froze. The crowd murmured. Sereva stepped forward, regal and cold. No daughter of mine may bind alone. If the human would join our line, he must join all of it. 6 sisters, 1 bond. The hall erupted in whispers and gasps. Elias stared at the princess, then at the imposing matron, realization dawning like a punch to the chest. He had come here to sign a treaty, not rewrite biology, or marriage law. Yet when Lenara looked at him, hope flickered behind her fear. And despite every diplomatic warning in his head, he found himself unable to look away. Outside, the living city pulsed brighter, as if listening. The peace of 2 species now depended on the answer of one bewildered human. The echo of the matron's decree still lingered in the hall when the doors closed behind Elias. The world outside shimmered, indifferent to the chaos unraveling in his mind. A treaty, a dance of diplomacy, that was what he'd signed up for. Not this. Not 6 alien princesses and a marriage law that sounded more like a cosmic joke than a custom. He found himself in a high chamber overlooking the ocean. The walls pulsed faintly with the rhythm of the planet's heartbeat. The silence pressed against him until the door slid open. Lenara entered, her usual glow dimmed. They will summon you soon, she said softly. Elias exhaled. For what? My sentencing? My wedding rehearsal? Her lips twitched in a near smile that never formed. For explanation. The council wishes to ensure you understand the law you've stepped into. I didn't step into anything. The floor collapsed under me. Lenara walked to the glass wall, her reflection shimmering beside the sea's glow. To us, love and unity cannot be separated. Each clutch is born from the same egg matrix. Sisters share thought patterns, empathy cycles, even dreams. To bond with one means to bond with all. He shook his head. That's not bonding. That's absorption. To you, she said, turning toward him. To us, it's the foundation of peace. No jealousy. No separation. Every bond reinforces balance. He studied her, searching for a flicker of rebellion, but found only sadness. And you agree with that? I was raised to, she said quietly. But I never expected to meet someone who would challenge it. Before he could answer, a soft chime sounded. 2 attendants appeared, gesturing for him to follow. Lenara lowered her gaze. They'll ask you to speak before the council. Choose your words carefully. The council of matrons sat in a crescent arrangement, their thrones grown from the living floor. Above them, the ceiling opened to the twilight sky. Vines glowed faintly with every heartbeat in the room. Elias stood alone in the center circle, feeling like prey on display. Saravathal's gaze cut through him. Captain Crane, you are aware of the implications of the Basin's reaction and of my daughter's declaration? I understand that your customs view it as a binding sign, he replied evenly. But human law. Your law does not govern this world, Sareva interrupted. You stand on Varelian soil. Here, the law of sisters is absolute. And what if I refuse? Then you reject not only Lenara but the unity of our people, said another counselor. Such an insult could end all diplomatic progress. Elias clenched his jaw. You're threatening to start a war because your daughter fell in love with the wrong kind of mammal? Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The matron's eyes narrowed, but she didn't rise to the bait. This is not a threat. It is truth. Our society cannot be divided by singularity. Lenara, seated beside her mother, looked torn between loyalty and desperation. Elias caught her gaze for a heartbeat before the matron gestured toward the side door. Then perhaps, she said, you should meet the others you would claim, should you accept our law. The room Elias entered felt warmer than the council hall, smaller, intimate, perfumed with something like ozone and rain. 5 figures awaited him, each a mirror of Lenara's grace yet distinct in presence. The first stepped forward, tall and elegant, her glow tinged with violet. I am Varethal, firstborn, she said. I guide the clutch's intellect. My mother fears what you might do to our unity. I came to see if she should. Elias inclined his head. Then I'll save you the trouble. I'm not here to marry anyone. Her expression didn't change. You already have, emotionally, if the Basin speaks true. Our world does not misunderstand symbols. Another voice, softer, followed. I am Asrathal, said a silver-eyed sister who carried calm-like air. I wish to understand you, not accuse. Elias sighed. Then maybe you can explain why your people think peace depends on who I fall in love with. It's not about peace, she said. It's about resonance. We are one mind divided into 6 bodies. If you join with Lenara, we will feel what she feels. To us, that is marriage. To deny it would tear us apart. He rubbed his temples. You're describing an emotional contagion, not love. A pair of twins stepped closer, nearly identical except for opposite markings, Tirna and Selith. They smiled mischievously. Humans make such a fuss over exclusivity, Tirna teased. Maybe that's why they never stopped writing songs about it, Selith added. Maybe because we like earning affection, Elias shot back. Not sharing it by default. The twins exchanged amused glances, clearly delighted by his frustration. The last sister, Rhinethal, spoke from the shadows. Her glow was faint, her tone deliberate. Our law has preserved us for millennia. But perhaps, laws can evolve. The others turned toward her in surprise, even Lenara. Rhiney's eyes met Elias's. If humans see love as choice, not duty, perhaps that is worth understanding. Before he could respond, a guard announced that the council awaited his answer. Back in the chamber, the matron rose, tall as a pillar. You have now seen the breadth of what you would join. Speak, human. Will you honor the law of sisters and preserve our bond, or deny it and fracture peace between species? Every eye turned toward him. Elias glanced at Lenara. She didn't plead, she simply watched, trusting him to decide. He drew a steady breath. If peace depends on me pretending to love 6 people I've never met, then it's already doomed. A sharp intake of breath circled the chamber. He raised a hand before the uproar could swell. But if peace depends on understanding, on learning why we see love differently, then maybe there's hope. Let me propose something else. The matron's gaze sharpened. You presume to rewrite our tradition? I propose a cultural accord, he said. A shared experiment. I'll stay, live among your people, learn your ways. You'll see what love means to a human, why it matters that it's a choice, not a mandate. If I fail, you can send me home. If I succeed, maybe you'll see that unity doesn't mean uniformity. The room was silent. The idea hung between them, fragile as glass. Finally, Sareva spoke. You would risk disgrace among your own kind for this? I've already risked worse for peace, he said. What's one more leap? The matron considered him for a long, tense moment. Then, slowly, she inclined her head. So be it. We shall observe your experiment. You will live within the house of Clutch 6. The sisters will watch, and so will we. Your heart will decide whether humanity can coexist with ours. Lenara's shoulders relaxed in silent relief. The others murmured to one another, uncertain but intrigued. As Elias turned to leave, Sarava's voice followed him like a whisper of steel. Understand this, human, if you fail, you will not only lose the princess. You will lose your place among the stars. He paused at the doorway, glanced back. Then I'd better not fail. Outside, the night air felt colder, sharper. The city glowed in the distance, 6 moons mirrored across the water, each representing a sister's watching eye. For the first time since his arrival, Elias understood what this world truly demanded of him. Not compliance. Not love. Understanding. And maybe, just maybe, that was the one thing humans did best. The chamber of bloom was alive with anticipation. Petals of translucent crystal unfolded across the domed ceiling, casting prismatic light over thousands of watching eyes. The chamber itself was a living organism, its heartbeat pulsed through the floor beneath Elias Crane's boots. He could feel it, steady and ancient, judging. This was the trial he had proposed, the final test of whether human understanding could stand beside Varelian unity. Around him, the 6 sisters stood in a perfect arc. At the center sat High Matron Saravathal, cloaked in authority and silence. Captain Crane, she said, her tone as smooth as tempered glass. Today you will prove whether your species' love holds substance or merely sentiment. Show us your truth. Elias glanced toward Lenara, her glow faint yet steady. He'd spent weeks within the Clutch house, learning their rhythms, the shared thoughts, the unspoken emotions, the bond that bound them tighter than any human family. He'd seen their unity, admired it. But he'd also felt their emptiness, the absence of choice. He took one careful breath. Then let's begin. At his nod, the attendants activated the empathic conduit, a crystalline ring encircling the chamber. 6 strands of luminous thread extended from it, connecting to each sister's palm. The 7th strand waited before him, flickering like a heartbeat uncertain of its own rhythm. Human technology, Sareva said with a trace of disdain. Modified, Elias replied. Half human, half Varelian. A bridge, not a wall. He pressed his hand to the thread. Light surged through his body, searing but not painful. In an instant, their minds collided. He gasped as 6 lifetimes poured into him, Vera's sharp intellect, Asura's calm empathy, Tirna's laughter, Seletha's curiosity, Raine's quiet depth, and Lenara's love, fierce and luminous. The force of their shared consciousness nearly crushed him. He staggered, breath ripped from his lungs, overwhelmed by emotion. Don't fight it, Lenara's voice echoed inside his mind. Let it move through you. He steadied himself, feeling their collective thoughts swirl like tides, vast, intertwined, inseparable. They had never known solitude, never experienced silence in their own heads. Every joy was shared. Every pain multiplied. He saw fragments, Vera reading the emotions of her clutch before they spoke, Asura weeping quietly for fear of disrupting harmony, Riney suppressing questions because dissent created dissonance. Even their happiness felt rehearsed, orchestrated. Elias finally understood. "You don't live in unity," he murmured aloud, voice trembling. "You live in fear of breaking it." Gasps rippled through the assembly. The threads vibrated violently. "Careful, human," Sareva warned. "What you feel are sacred bonds." "No," he said, his voice rising. "What I feel is the cost of never being alone. You've built peace by silencing difference. You call it harmony, but it's obedience." Lenara's hand trembled. Through the bond he sensed her turmoil, her love for her people colliding with the truth she could no longer ignore. "You misunderstand us," said Vera, her mental tone sharp. "Without unity, we destroy one another." "Then maybe destruction is how you grow," he countered. "Humanity built peace after conflict. We learn to disagree, to argue, to love despite it. That's our unity, choice. That's what makes love real." The chamber glowed brighter, vines responding to the surge of emotion. The threads pulsed between them, resonating not in perfect synchrony but in wild, discordant waves. Yet the energy didn't break, it expanded. Asura's voice entered his mind, softer now. "Choice, what does that feel like?" Elias closed his eyes. "It feels like standing on a cliff, knowing you can fall, but trusting someone will catch you anyway." The sisters absorbed his words in silence. For the first time, Elias felt hesitation ripple through their bond, tiny fractures in their perfect unity. Not weakness. Individual thought. Sareva rose. Her glow flared crimson. "Enough! You seek to infect my daughters with chaos. This is not understanding, this is corruption." Elias faced her calmly, though his heart thundered. "Then maybe your law was never meant to protect harmony. Maybe it was meant to control it." The chamber erupted in overlapping voices, shock, denial, fear. The threads shuddered violently, and Elias felt the psychic link start to tear. Pain ripped through his chest, raw and electric. He would die if it broke violently. Then Lenara reached out, pressing her hand over his. "Stop fighting. Let it balance." Her voice echoed within all of them. "Mother, listen. He does not seek to divide us. He seeks to show us that unity can exist through choice, not compulsion." The light stabilized. The psychic storm faded to a low hum. Sareva looked at her daughter with something like grief. "If you choose this path, you unravel everything our kind stands upon. Or we redefine it," Lenara said, stepping forward. "You taught us that true unity is understanding. If we cannot understand the human heart, then our unity is an illusion." The matron's composure cracked, just slightly. The room fell utterly still. For several breaths, only the sound of the living chamber's slow heartbeat filled the air. Finally, Sareva spoke, her voice quieter than anyone had ever heard. "Perhaps the law has grown older than its purpose." The light around her dimmed to a gentle white. She looked to her daughters. "From this day forward, the law of sisters shall no longer bind by blood, but by will. Let those who bond do so freely." Shock rippled through the gathered counselors, but none dared to oppose her. The law, older than recorded time, had just changed. Elias released the conduit, stumbling as the connection severed. Lenara caught him before he fell. Their minds were still faintly linked, gentle, no longer overwhelming. "You did it," she whispered, her eyes bright with emotion. He smiled weakly. "We did it. And I'm still standing. That's a first for human diplomacy." Lenara laughed softly. "You've changed us more than you realize. Change is contagious," he said. "Just don't blame me when your poets start writing love songs about monogamy." She tilted her head, smiling. "Perhaps I'll write the first." Weeks later, aboard the human cruiser Odyssey, Elias watched Varela 9 recede into the distance. The planet shimmered beneath 6 moons, glowing faintly like a heartbeat against the void. A message blinked on his console. From Lenarathal. Subject: Your heart still glows. He opened it. Her holographic image appeared, calm and radiant. "My sisters and I debate endlessly," she said with a grin. They claim you belong to all of us now. I tell them you belong to none, yet somehow, to everyone. Perhaps that's what it means to love as a human. He leaned back, smiling. You always did understand faster than the rest of us. The ship's AI chimed in his ear. Ambassador Crane, the Council requests your statement for the Cultural Accord archives. He looked out at the stars, thinking of the matron's weary eyes, of Lenara's laughter, of 6 lives intertwined in one impossible connection. Record this, he said quietly. Humanity didn't teach the Varelians love. They already had it. We just reminded them that it's only real when it's chosen. He closed the message and let the silence of space settle around him. Outside, distant starlight reflected on the hull. Tiny glimmers that looked, for all the universe, like 1,000 beating hearts. And for the first time since he'd left Earth, Elias Crane felt at home among them.